I'm just letting it play for a minute. Just letting it play. Rad for real talk. In the moment right now. Just letting it play. What's going on, y'all? This is Shaniqua Radford with Radford Real Talk. Just coming to you on this Mother's Day evening. Definitely another impromptu moment. Thank you for joining me today. I actually had a few things that I wanted to kind of talk about today. I know it's Mother's Day, and big shout out to all the mothers. Big shout out. We appreciate all that you've done. And I definitely want to give a special shout out to my mom, Tanya Dozier. Just want to thank her for all the sacrifices that she's made, and this being that role model and setting that example of a woman, and that virtuous woman. That Proverbs 31, man, that's my mom for sure. And I just want to just shout her out and just tell her thank you just for being amazing. I want to start with that. And, I walked right in the door a few minutes ago, and I'm like, I have to record. Today's Mother's Day, and I kind of want to put a little spin on what a person may think that, a podcast will talk about on a day like today. Big celebration for those who are mothers, but I also want to look out and talk about those who cannot be mothers. And I actually want to call this podcast, the title of it is The Wombless Woman. The Wombless Woman. And it's special to me because it speaks about me. It speaks about my life. Just one of the trials and the things that I have experienced and been through. And, growing up, we were always taught, especially growing up in the African American community, to keep things to ourselves, especially as women when we deal with our bodies. And I completely understand where that comes from. It's not everybody's business. And at the same time, it's just, we go get whatever support or help we need from the professionals and just keep it as is, keep it in the house. And you don't ask about it. You deal with it and cope with it in your own way. And my goal is to break that, is to break those dysfunctional thought processes and those dysfunctional ways of thinking, perceptions, and the culture, dysfunctional culture, because I feel like it's people that really need to hear the truth. It's other people out there that may be going through what I've experienced, what I'm going through, and just need some support in some type of way to address this. And so I call this the wombless woman because I can't bear children. And this was something that, I found out probably in my early 30s. I did not know, that it was an experience that I would ever deal with, of course. I was always kind of on the fence anyway about having children. And I was kind of at a point where being 30, early 30s, starting to settle down with my husband in the late 20s. And, I was like, we both kind of were like at a point where we enjoyed doing what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it. So as far as having a child, that's something that you can't really do, of course, when you have them. And I know, and we both know that we will be great parents. However, it's a difference when you're on the fence about something and maybe considering not wanting them versus when somebody tells you that you can't have them. And when I was told that by my doctor, it was like, I can't even find the words to really put to say how I felt. And I've learned, how to be okay with that. You're not going to have the words to say for every single situation. or whatever's on your heart. You just know it was a feeling that I got. And that's why I tell my women now, make sure that you get your, go to your doctor's appointments, get your exams, your pap smears, the gynecologist, whomever you go to get your annual, man, make sure you go and do that because, I didn't have any signs of anything. I didn't have any signs, any symptoms. And it came out that I had pre-cervical cancer. And I tried the cone biopsy initially to scrape like those cells that were precancerous out. And within like 30 to 45 days, the risky cells came right back, and my doctor, I'll never forget, he told me, when they came back and, I had biopsies and all that stuff. I went through the process of before it got to the hysterectomy part. And I'll never forget because he told me, after my last biopsy, and he said, we have to do something because your cells they're rapidly growing. And it's to a point where if you, choose not to have a hysterectomy, I'm just going to have to terminate you as a patient because I don't want that liability or that to be on me. And my doctor, man, we go way, way, way back. This was my doctor since like late middle school. And, actually, I always had issues as a woman, with my cycle. I always would, be on it for a very extended period of time. PMS was terrible. Cramps was terrible. I was exhausted to like a whole nother level. And, I would it would be extensive. And I would be like really begin to get weak and things like that. So I actually got on birth control pills the end of towards middle school, like middle, maybe like maybe about seventh grade. And it helped. I was on those to regulate my cycle because I would just be on for God knows when. It was no turn off. It was no set time of how long it would last. It would just keep going. So my mom makes sure that, I had my exams and all that thing and I, continued to make sure I made my appointments. But, as I settled down with my husband and things of that nature, I continued to birth control until, we knew what we were going to do. And my doctor, I'll never forget the day when the last biopsy he gave me, he said, we're going to have to do something and do it fast. And I appreciate him because he kept it very real with me. And I've had a rapport with my doctor for so long that I trusted him and I trusted his judgment and I trusted the things that he was saying to me because I felt like he really had my best interest. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, we're going to have to do what we have to do. And I said that, and I'll never forget when I left and I talked to my husband about it. I just played the strong card, I didn't, and I really did not process for a really extended period of time what he was saying to me. I really did not. And I felt like I just took it and just kept going, literally, just kept going. And I just tried to put a Band-Aid on it and just kept it moving and tried to be positive. And I, realized that I never really grieved the statement of what he told me, not being able to be a mother. I always knew that I would be an amazing mother. I'm just naturally a nurturer, and I just knew that whether I decided to or not, whoever I would marry, that, it was just going to be an amazing moment if we decided to have those children. And I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about it. It was something that I really didn't even wish to talk about, to be truly honest with you. I just chucked it up, kept working, doing what I did. And it was a long, very long time before I even spoke about it. And let me tell you something. I always tell people whether it's a client that I work with or family or whomever, when you sweep things under a rug, just think of trash, right? Think of trash, think of debris. And just imagine a huge area rug in the middle of a room. And if you sit here and you take a broom and you sweep trash under that thing and you cover it, it's going to stink eventually, and that stench could be depression, anxiety. It could be so many different things that comes out in so many different ways. And that's what I did, to be truly honest. I just swept it. I just swept it under the rug and kept going. And I'll never forget, like, I was watching a movie and it was dealing with, a dad raising his he was a single dad and raising a daughter, and just the moments they shared and stuff like this. We sitting here looking at the movie, laughing, talking, my husband and I, and all this stuff, and all of a sudden I just started bawling, crying, and I had no idea why I was crying, and I'm like, what the hell is going on with me? So I kind of had to sit with it and really check myself for a moment. And like, okay, Shaniqua, what's going on? And I realized that trash that I swept under the rug, the stench was coming out. The things that I chose not to deal with, the things I tried to hide and try to help other people with, my shit was stinking. And it was at that moment coming out with tears. And I had to talk to my husband about it, and the thing I appreciate about him and the thing I love about him is because he had a decision, not to be with me because I couldn't give him a child, I couldn't keep that legacy going. And I appreciate him because the thing that he said after I got off the phone with that doctor, and when I found out I couldn't have those children is, but that's a no-brainer because we need you, we need you. We need you around. We need you healthy. And that's all I care about. And I appreciated that. But it takes a special man to be able to, sacrifice his seed, his legacy, to be able to do that, And I'm just thankful that he loved me and thought that much of my health and me being with him that, that stuff didn't matter. And those are like defining moments, in our lives. It's not when everything's peaches and cream, like I always say. Y'all gonna hear me say that a lot. It's when shit is hitting the fan. And it's when things are happening in life that you don't expect. And, you really see how much a person loves you and is going to support you and be there for you in moments like what I'm talking about now. And, so watching that movie that goes back to that, we processed that at that moment. I began to talk to my husband about it and about what was going on in my mind, my thoughts, where the tears were coming from. And I had to openly accept that I did not grieve not being able to be a mom. And I never thought that it would bother me because, like I said, I was on the fence about it anyway, but it did. It did. And it continued to do that. So like I realized that after that, when we would go to church, say on Mother's Day, Father's Day, and I'll never forget, they had all the moms stay up. This was another Mother's Day Sunday. And they handed all the moms roses. And when the minister, when the preacher asked for all the mothers to stand up and everybody stood up, I felt like if it was a hole in the floor, I would have went in it to hide. That was a moment where I felt like I was a failure. I felt like a failure. I felt like it was, what had happened to me. I could never produce what these other women could produce for their spouses. I felt like, like my life was just, not that my life was in shambles, but I just felt like my life was like, I didn't have purpose, and I knew it was greatness in me and all that. I've always known that, but we know that a woman, there's a power that we have because we can reproduce, we populate the earth. And, I felt and I struggled with it for a period of time that the thing that I was put on the earth for, I would not be able to do it. And it was a lot to sit with. It was a lot to accept. And there was a lot to grieve. And in those moments like that, when I felt like the spotlight was on me because these women did things that I couldn't do. I couldn't give my husband a baby. I couldn't celebrate, having a birthing a child, having a child. I couldn't celebrate any of that. And it was just like a sadness. I felt sad, and I'll never forget, the choir started singing after that, and I just had tears just dropping from my face. I didn't say a word, and my husband would just grab my hand and rub me. He already knew what time it was, but it was a grief. It was a grief moment. And I tell people, man, if you don't grieve and you don't allow yourself to feel the things that you need to feel, it's gonna come out, and it may be delayed, and that's okay, but it's gonna come out in some type of way. And I've actually accepted that. Father's Day, same thing. And Father's Day, when all the dads are asked to stand up, once again, I feel like if it was a hole, I would go and hide, because those men had something that I could never do for my husband. And so I used to do things back in the day to, you know, please others. And it was never like extreme, but a lot of times I would sometimes do things um to what culture expects or what society expects, or, you know, just what seems right, and I stopped that. And then I would make myself like go to church on those days. I would make myself do some of the things that didn't want to do. I would always celebrate my mom, of course, and my granny, my aunt, on my aunt Pumpkin, and everybody. I would always celebrate them. I was thankful, you know, and my grandmother BJ, God rest her soul, may she rest in peace. I would always celebrate them. I would always do that, and you know, it was just I was at a point where at that moment I learned to kind of focus on me as well, and be able to give myself what I needed at that moment. And it wasn't about who understood it. If I wanted to stay home from church or whatever, I would do that. And that's something that I've actually began to practice. It was like, not going to church on Mother's Day, not going to church on Father's Day, because of, that spotlight that I feel like was on me. And I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that. And I've learned that we all have to do things for ourselves. We know what we need, but it's not for everybody to understand it. And I'm okay with that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk and share, and how I got through it. I can honestly say, I did go to therapy for multiple things, but that was one of the things that I spoke about. And me and God had a moment, and it was like I accepted that I would not be able we wouldn't be able to conceive and have our own child. And I never wanted to adopt. And see, being in mental health and working in the field for so long, we've seen so many nightmares as far as what people deal with when they take in, whether it's other people's children or children that may have various issues. And, their life a lot of times is, as it has become a major sacrifice to meet the needs of that child. And I commend and take my hat off to so many people who do that, and have that calling to love on those children and be there and support them. And I really do. It was a fear though for me, because I had people ask, would y'all want to adopt? Y'all be great parents and everything. But I really didn't want to, because of some of the things that had traumatized me of what I've seen that other parents have dealt with in the field. Now, here's the thing. You can have a child and they can put you through the ringer with some of the things that those foster children may have put you through, or you can have more great experience with foster children than you could your own child that you gave birth to, And so at the end of the day, it's like taking a deck of cards and throwing them up, and they're going to fall in whatever way they need to, But it was just a situation where I just did not want to take that chance to do that. And like the surrogacy and all that. And I didn't want anybody's blood, going through my child's veins. And so it was like, that was just like it's all or nothing type of situation. And that's where I was at with it. And we were on that same page, on that same platform, and understanding whether we in or we out, we're not going to sit here and try to do things to, you know, do what society says that we should do. And I'm gonna tell you something. Our baby is Sasha. I'm a dog mom, and that baby, I'm gonna tell you something. She has helped me cope with so much. She has helped me heal and accept the fact that I can't have children because I had that thing to take care of, to love, to that would know when you might not be having the best day and just lay under you or just look you in your face and just cuddle with you. The excitement of when I come home, the things that a child may give a parent. I got that, It's just I could leave her home or drop her off with mom, something like that when we go out of town. So she could pretty much care for herself for the most part. But I wanted to talk about this because it was something that was on me today. And it's always a reminder when this time, comes around, and I sit with it, and I don't know how I'm gonna feel on that particular day. I just go with the flow. And this morning, I'm gonna be honest with you, I felt off. I felt a little off this morning. And nothing was wrong, nothing like that. And I really subconsciously feel that it's just that natural motherly instinct in me learning to accept that that's something that I won't biologically be, and it goes back to when I talk about therapy, when I talk about perception and healing. Me and God really, we talked about that thing. We talked about it a few times, and I learned to accept that, you know what? I feel like He put a purpose so big in me that a 3 to 4 inch uterus womb, it couldn't hold it. It couldn't hold it. So although I may not be able to give birth to a human being, I feel like He put something in me to give birth to purpose. And that purpose is to bring healing to many people. And it's so cool, man, because let me tell you something. I have so many sons and daughters, from people that I've worked with, to people that I've mentored, from people that look up to me. And it's all right. I've learned to be okay with where I am, and loving myself, and loving where we are in our life and our marriage, and just being. And when I need to shed a tear, or when I have a moment, I've learned that it's okay. I don't have to sit here and cover it up with that rug anymore. I can do whatever it is I need to do to bring a smile to other people's face, or to think of all the lives that I've touched. And it was so cool to see. I had so many people like hit me up to wish me a happy Mother's Day. Old clients, old people that I have, mentored or helped guide. And it just made me smile. And, we got God kids and all the love they give us. And so, this just goes back to saying life is what you make it. We have an option whether we just sit back and think about it in the negative, and, have a pity party and waddle in the things that we don't have, or the things that we never got. Or we could choose to look at that glass totally different. Like they said, you can look at it half full, or you can look at it another way. And I choose to look at it a totally different way. And I'm thankful, I'm all right. And I have to say that it's things like this, in a moment where I need to talk and just get things off my chest, that I appreciate this platform. And I just knew I was itching to get home so I can record this. And shout out to all the other mothers, whether you are a mentor mother, a mother of people in the neighborhood, or, people in the community, whomever, you're still a mom. And I found out we have other ways to nurture those people, because sometimes people have had toxic family, toxic parents, toxic mothers. And the love that we may give is the closest to a mother that they will ever have, and I appreciate that. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful for those who allow me to be a part of their journey and allow me to be a part of their healing. I'm just thankful, and so that's kind of where I'm at with it today, y'all. I really wanted to just talk and vent and process, and, just be that voice for other people who may need to hear this, and just know that life is all right. It's all in how we see it. It's all in what we do with it. And it's all in who we help. Because guess what? Somebody needs to hear this. And that's why my goal is to break the stigma of being quiet, and to break the stigma of what strength looks like. And, it's actually the opposite of what we think. It's allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. It's opening up to not being perfect. It's opening up to our imperfections and opening up to the things that's happened to us to help other people know that you can make it. So that's kind of where I'm at, y'all. And I want to say I love you guys, and I just thank you for allowing me to, be a part of your day. Thank you for listening in, and I look forward to many more recordings. Peace, y'all. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. Have a wonderful week, and God bless you.